Hi there, my name is Mike. I'm from Canada. I like to learn and react about videos related to the UK and the EU and other parts of the world. So today I'm going to watch this video about the 10 reasons why the UK is the best country in the world. So let's jump in and see what I can learn.
In this video, we will give you 10 reasons why we think the UK as a whole is the greatest nation or nations in the world. Now, of course, just like any other country in the world, the nations that make up the UK are not perfect and they have plenty of issues of their own. And Britain has a very turbulent past. Throughout this video, we will try to stay out of politics and keep it quite light-hearted. So let's kick off this video with number 10, the accent and language. Although most of the world thinks that the British people all sound like the Queen or news reporters, this couldn't be any further from the truth. Yes, there are many people who speak the Queen's English, also known as received pronunciation. However, with so much history and different regions across the UK, you will find many different accents and dialect. From Scouse in Liverpool to Geordie in Newcastle to Glaswegian in Glasgow, every accent sounds completely different from one another. You can literally drive 30 to 60 minutes away from where you live and you will find someone with a completely different accent to your own. The UK is also extremely multicultural, so you will find
That is different and unique from Canada. There are certainly regions of Canada that have different accents and different dialects, and those are mostly in the eastern part of Canada, which have been, I guess, settled for more longer length of time, more 300 years, 400 years. In the western part of Canada where I am, it's only been 130, 150 years. And if you took someone from where I am and went 1,000 kilometers west and spoke to them, I wouldn't be able to tell that they're from a different city because their language, the way they speak, the way they pronounce words is exactly the same. My feeling is from Ontario west all the way to British Columbia, I feel like all the people in those provinces all sound the same. And then when you're in the Maritimes, eastern part of Canada, or in Quebec, where there's a lot of French-speaking people, there is some differences there. But so that's quite unique. But I think it's related simply to history. I mean, the history of Canada is very short in comparison to the UK, so it completely makes sense to me that you'll have regional dialects, regional accents, because it's had centuries to evolve, and in Canada it just simply is not.
many different international accents across the country too. Number 9, it's breathtaking.
I know I sort of cut it off there, but he was talking about other international accents from outside of the country, and that is very true in Canada. If you're a born and raised Canadian, you'll have a certain accent. And we all kind of sound the same. But if you're from outside of the country, you'll have a different accent because your English is not your first language. And in my daily life, I meet numerous people who have come from different countries. Every day, I meet people from different countries. They have different accents and they speak the English language differently. And that's very common in Canada as well. It's a very multicultural society. And I think that's great because we get to share the best of all of our cultures with one another.
Scenery. The UK is home to some of the most beautiful scenery in Europe, if not the world, especially in Scotland. The first thing people think of when they think of the UK is probably London, a huge urban concrete jungle. However, if you adventure outside of the capital, you'll find some absolutely stunning countryside. The UK also has incredible beaches too, from the tropical setting in St Ives in the Scilly Islands to the pristine white sand you will find in the northwest of Scotland. The isles off the Scottish Highlands, such as the Isle of Skye, offer some of the most breathtaking views you will ever see. Number 8.
I had another video where I was reacting to Northern England's most, I think, scenic places, and I was so impressed and taken aback by how beautiful so many of these places are, and there's so much greenery in all of the images. I think that it seems to be a very fertile and lush soil, and makes for green grass, green trees, green everywhere, which is very pleasing to the eye. So certainly in Canada, we do have our own landscapes that are beautiful as well. But certainly I agree with the presenter here that those landscapes he's showing are very beautiful, and I would like to come see them someday.
It has different countries. The UK comprises of 4 different nations, each with their own culture, history, and dialects. And although they claim to hate each other, I think this is generally a myth which is exaggerated on social media. I've met so many incredible and friendly people from Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland who are very similar to me, but with just a different accent. Each country is.
Yeah, I think that's funny. It's almost like sibling rivalry fighting, and maybe it's not the same thing as that, but I know that when I speak to someone from the U.S., maybe we have some sort of rivalry style feelings towards the U.S., but when you sit down one on one, speak with an American and a Canadian together, we get along quite well. And I imagine the same as this presenter's talking about a person from England talking to someone from Wales or Scotland or Northern Ireland. While there is some differences in culture or language or pronunciation, by and large, the culture is very similar and lots in common, and likely have a lot more to talk about in a positive way, versus having any chance of any negative reaction. Actually, I find that with almost anyone I speak to from any culture around the world, people are people, and we have certain basic things that we all treasure and enjoy, and like family and health, those types of things. So people around the world are more similar than they are different, although when you look at politics, or you look at how countries get along with each other, or you look at areas where there's war, you wonder how did it come to this. And anyway, so I'm getting off topic into the depths here, but I think humanity, we have a lot in common, more in common than we really realize. I think that's what he's saying, and I completely agree with that
Rather
sentiment.
similar. They usually have 1 or 2 large main cities, then plenty of smaller, charming towns and villages, with beautiful countryside in between. Number 7, it has London, often regarded as being one of the greatest cities in the world. Love it or hate it, you have to admit, London is one of the most important and influential cities of all time. People from all corners of the planet come to the UK to visit, to live, or to study in London. Yes, it is busy and it's expensive, but it offers some of the most desirable jobs in the world, and there is so much to do. You'll also find some of the world's most followed sports stadiums in London too. Number 6, safety.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I have not visited a lot of the UK, but I have visited London, and certainly as a Canadian visiting London, my first time I felt almost sort of at home, kind of, because there's a lot of similarities with just the things that seemed familiar to me when I was there, but certainly with the history and the culture and the attractions and everything else that is in London. It is one of the great cities of the world, and it's certainly worthwhile visiting for sure. And I look forward to someday hopefully visiting again as well.
Climate and the wildlife. The figures from the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, which ranks each member on many criteria, including safety, place the UK 11th out of 38 nations for safety, just behind Canada but ahead of Ireland and way ahead of the US, who are in 22nd place.
All right, so we're in really good company. We're right beside each other, which sounds great to me. We're our countries certainly closely related and aligned, and that's wonderful to know. And safety, certainly. They're showing this in this image here. Of course, it's a large city, a lot of people. In any large city with a lot of people, you're going to have 99.9% of the people are going to be good, honest people, and there's that 0.1% that is going to cause trouble, and that's just how it is in large cities, probably. But safety certainly. That's a great great thing to have.
They have the data to back this up too. In
Yeah, the
2016, the UK recorded a lower homicide rate than Japan. Perhaps it's no
Oh,
wonder
wow.
that 77% of Brits feel safe walking home at night alone. Although we love to moan about the weather in the UK, we are very lucky that we don't experience extreme weather or natural disasters, such as droughts, tsunamis, volcanoes, or bushfires. There are very occasional mini tornadoes and very small earthquakes, but they are barely powerful enough to knock over a garden gnome. The UK is also home to next to no deadly animals such as bears, snakes, or spiders. So if you are on an adventure in the countryside, this is another thing you don't have to worry about.
I guess that's a little bit different in Canada where I am. I mean, I'm living close to a city, so we don't have to worry about the bears eating us. But if you do travel far into the wilderness, there's probably some bears there, but generally they're more scared of you than you are of them. So if you're making noise hiking in the forest, or often people, if they're hiking deep in the forest, will have a bell attached to themselves to just warn the wildlife that you're there, so you don't startle any wildlife, because that's the last thing you want to do is startle a bear and then they attack. So I've never personally heard of anyone being attacked by a bear, but it is something that we are aware of. And when we go camping here in Canada, sometimes we're in wilderness areas, and we do make a point of packing away. Once we're done eating outside on our picnic table, we will pack everything away into our camper or into our something sealed, so that the smell of the food is not, kind of in the area to attract wildlife to want to come and eat it. And they mentioned also weather events. I mean, the only weather event I get here in my part of Canada is cold, and it's not really unexpected, so we just live with it. But yeah, we're fortunate enough that we really don't get tornado. Well, we do have occasionally, but very rarely tornadoes and other major negative, weather events like
Number
that.
5, the NHS, or the National Health Service. The NHS leads the world in terms of equity of access and ensuring people don't suffer financial hardship when they are ill. It also
Great.
performs well in managing long-term conditions like diabetes and kidney disease, and is relatively efficient compared to other health systems around the world. The NHS usually ranks in the top 10 or 15 in the world for the best healthcare systems. Not too shabby. Number 4, the
Great.
higher
That's very good. Let me just see here. Did Canada show up in there at all? Oh yeah. Okay, I can see. The UK was on the very top here, and Canada was second from the bottom. Oh, that's not so good. It's disappointing. I mean, in Canada, like the NHS in Canada, our healthcare is free, but it's maybe not as efficient. I do know of there's times when people have to wait for surgery, especially non-urgent surgery, like for example, hip replacements or knee replacements. They're on a waiting list for those because they're not imminently, going to perish by not having their hip replaced. But when people do have major, health issues like heart attacks, and then those certainly those are treated first. And but I'm glad to hear that in the UK the NHS is so well, working so well. As a person living there, do you agree with that sentiment? I think in Canada, if you were asked the average Canadian how our health care system is, on one side we would say we're happy to have it, and we're happy that no one ever goes bankrupt in Canada for health issues because it's all paid for, compared to our southern neighbors in the US, where many people go bankrupt for medical reasons, medical bills. That's simply not the case in Canada. It's paid for. But I think in the average Canadian also might say, the wait times for certain things, certain procedures, and getting that care can be long. Is that the same in the UK? Is the wait times long? Is it reasonable? Are people happy? Just curious to know. Okay, let's keep going and see what else
in the world
he's got to
for the
say
best
here.
healthcare systems. Not too shabby. Number 4, the higher education system. The World Universities listing estimates there are over 26,000 universities worldwide. Now, out of all of those, you could probably count on one hand the number that are global household names, and two of them happen to be in Britain. Yep, Oxford and Cambridge. They are still the creme of the crop as far as higher education is concerned. And you've also got Durham too. And the reason for their renown isn't just historical. Across the whole of Britain, the higher education system consistently delivers some of the best results on the planet. Students travel from all corners of the planet to study in the UK. In doing so, they will also get to experience UK nightlife and the quality of life and safety that comes with it. Number 3.
Absolutely. Cambridge and Oxford, and to a lesser extent, Durham. Those are all household names here in Canada. We all have heard. And, if someone says, I've been to Cambridge, I've been to Oxford, oh, wow, you're very talented, very smart. Those are words that have a great meaning here, even in Canada. So I completely agree with his statements there. Yeah.
Castles and ruins. The UK is old as hell, therefore it has many ancient ruins, castles and structures to be discovered far and wide. In England alone, there are said to be around 4,000 castles. So if you're from a relatively new country like Australia, New Zealand or Canada or even America, then you may have never seen a castle or ancient building before. So
Yeah, absolutely. There's 0 castles where I live, new or old. It's amazing.
The UK provides an authentic historical viewing. Number 2, discovering.
I can just imagine. I mean, I'm sure there's probably castle tours. I'm sure. I mean, I don't mean a tour of an individual castle, but I mean, if someone said, "Okay, I'd like to have a tour of 10 castles," I'm sure those are available, and that would be very interesting to me because there's just simply nothing here in Canada that's that old. There in the eastern part of Canada, things are a few hundred years old, but not nearly as old as those. So. Very interesting, and that's just another reason for me to want to come visit the UK.
Commonwealth. Britain created countries such as Australia, Singapore, and the USA, in which, in the short space of around 300 years, have become world leaders in so many aspects. No other country can claim to have created anything close to what Britain has achieved. In doing so, its legacy has continued to evolve. Much of what was once the British Empire continues to be part of the Commonwealth, an alliance of 54 nations across the world.
Yeah, absolutely. There's Canada right there, and we feel very much attached to the UK. We feel that history. We have the king as our monarch, and there's a great respect and knowledge that we are part of the Commonwealth, and so we're glad to be part of this grouping. And it's amazing the history and how this has come about over the centuries.
World with a combined population of over 2 billion, long after the empire has ceased to exist. Number 1, inventions. The UK invented most of the technology that the modern world runs on. The TV, the computer, and the World Wide Web. And while Marconi was Italian, he developed his wireless radio transmission in the UK. The list of British inventions is endless. The UK also developed most of the world's most popular sports, such as football or soccer, rugby, cricket, tennis, and golf. The UK is a world leader in the arts, particularly literature and theatre, from Shakespeare to Andrew Lloyd Webber, from Chaucer to J.K. Rowling. We've also had a big impact on music, TV, movies, and video games, such as Harry Potter and James Bond. So there we have.
Oh, there's Stonehenge. Very cool. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much cultural influence from, all the way back to Shakespearean times, and before that even, I'm sure there are many historical roots of modern culture and entertainment and literature and all of that is coming from the UK. So I forget to think about that because all those things that he mentioned there, I'm familiar with all of them, and so hadn't really thought too much about their origins. But yes, absolutely, that makes sense to me.
Have it. 10 reasons why we think the UK is one of, if not the best country in the world, or countries. Of course, as we mentioned before, it's not perfect. It does have many issues. But as a whole, it is a very safe and friendly country where people from all across the world decide to emigrate to. So, what is your thoughts on the UK? Do you live here? perhaps you've never been before and you'd love to visit.
Yeah, well, that's great. I really enjoyed this video, and I think that makes it more evident to me, with all the history of the UK and all the inventions and all of the influence it's had over the world over the centuries, and certainly major influence on the creation of Canada and our current status as a country. And yeah, it's interesting to learn more in depth about these things. So it's been quite an enlightening video. So I thought this one was quite interesting and to watch. And I thank you for watching my video, and I hope you found it interesting. I hope I was able to share a few things about Canada with you as well. And if you found it interesting or informative, yeah, I'd appreciate it if you'd consider giving me a thumbs up or subscribe for future videos where I try to react to different information and videos about the UK, the EU, and other countries. And I really appreciate you watching. Thanks so much, and see you next time. Have a great day.